Order the meeting of the Chautauqua County Legislature on January 25th. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski? Absent. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Gustafson? Mr. Harmon?
Here.
Mr. Heiser?
Here.
Mr. Hemmer?
Here.
Mr. Muldowney?
Here.
Mr. Nelson? Mr. Nebel?
Here.
Ms. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Pavlock?
Here.
Mr. Penhallow?
Here.
Mr. Proctor? Absent. Ms. Rankin? Mr. Scudder? Absent. Mr. Torres?
Here.
Ms. Vanstrom?
Here.
Mr. Wilfong?
Here.
Chairman Chagnon?
Here.
There are 16 members present and 3 members absent. There's quorum.
Thank you. Now at this time, we'll have the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance by Legislator Torres.
Let us pray. God, please give us the strength to have patience, understanding. Let's pray for the refugees. Let's pray for the people that have been wounded in the mass shootings. Just let's pray for peace. Let's pray for all of us here to get through this year and be productive. And again, understanding and have patience. Thank you. Amen. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. That brings us to the approval of the minutes of the December 21st, 2022 and the January 3rd, 2023 meetings. So I have a motion by Legislator Harmon to approve the minutes as presented and a second by Legislator Vanstrom. Any discussion on the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? They are carried. We now have our first privilege of the floor. Members of the public may comment on any subject relating to any local law, resolution, or motion appearing on the agenda. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes, and comments representing a group shall be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to address the first privilege of the floor? Seeing no one?
There are no veto messages received from County Executive Wendell from the December 21st, 2022 and the January 3rd, 2023 meeting. There are 14 communications listed on the agenda tonight. Are there any items you wish to have read aloud? Please contact our office if you would like a copy of any of these items.
Okay, well, we're moving right along, but since we have 2 more minutes before we're out of order, so Christy, if you would introduce the first local law.
Local Law Intro 1-23. A local law amending Local Law 13-22 providing for a management salary plan for county officers, employees regarding personnel technician.
Are there any questions, comments, discussion on this local law? Hearing none. Christy, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski is absent. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Gustafson?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Heiser?
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Nebel?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Pavlock?
Yes.
Mr. Penhallow?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Ms. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres?
Yes.
Ms. Vanstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong?
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon?
Yes.
There are 16 yes votes, 3 absent. The local law is adopted.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the second local law now as well.
Local Law Intro 2-23, a local law amending local law 13-22, providing for a management salary plan for county officers and employees regarding media information officer.
Are there any questions, any comments on this local law? Legislator Parker.
Yes, I would like to say I'm not going to be voting in favor of this because I don't believe it's a good use of county resources. The county executive department is a tax-funded department, and in 2013 had three employees, and in 2023 has now 7, which is an increase of 124.4% in the county executive staff. So I do not feel like that there is a need or that it is a good use of tax-funded money. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Vanstrom.
I just want to send accolades to our county executive. I think it's really important in today's day and age, considering what we've just been through with COVID and misinformation and people feeling afraid and insecure, that we have a solid message to send out that's in line with what we are doing and transparency included. And I think that our county executive is trying to promote transparency and camaraderie with on top of the whole team here, but with the public. So I really am going to support this, and I'm sorry if anyone doesn't agree with that, but I think it was a really bold and brave move and important because our media, our social media right now is at the utmost importance. We rely on Western New York Now, we rely on the Post-Journal, the Observer, we rely on our beautiful radio stations. I love our radio stations beyond. And I listen to our local radio stations every morning, WDOE and WJTN and WBEN, when I have time to. So I have to say, I think that our county, thank you, Terry, and I love our local media, and I really think that our county executive is really trying to make sure that whatever is happening in Chautauqua County, whether it's a power outage or an emergency or something, that our media has the access to the information immediately, not trying to not communicate or to not let our citizens feel safe. So I appreciate our county executive, and I want to say thank you for taking the initiative to use resources, because I know there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on, and they call our office at the day job when they don't know what's going on. They'll call the Senate office because they're afraid or fearful for what might be happening, and there can be some serious emergencies. We have made major power outages in the city of Jamestown recently, one time for 40 minutes, one time for 2 minutes. My husband actually called me and said, are you safe in your building? We had another power outage at the house, and it was a BPU issue. And I said, no, everybody's fine, and thank you for reaching out. But I think this is not a small move. I think this is a big move. And in lieu of what we just went through with COVID and with the public health fears and scares and concerns, I do have to support this, and I hope my colleagues in this group will also come along and join me in this, because it's important to share information, not to conceal information. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Nebel.
Mr. Chairman, nowadays you absolutely have to have a media information officer. I'm not sure why anybody would be voting against this motion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Legislator
Nelson. Tom Nelson.
Tom
Yeah, I know,
Nelson.
I'm new. I have to agree with Legislator Parker on this. While I see the need for a media information officer, there's no question it's important in this day and age. But when the county executives, the number of employees he has gone from 3 to 7, I would think that could be handled by somebody within his office already. And I just think it's an additional, it's now 8 employees. You know, the number of employees that he has gone up 124%, I think, Susan said. So I think that's, you know, especially when the population of the county has gone down. I can't see justifying it I can see having one, I can see the county executive taking someone within his office saying, okay, you're gonna be the media information person, but I don't see a need for an additional person, so I'll be voting against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Legislator Vanstrom.
To defend our county executive one more time, this didn't have to come out of his budget. He could have put it in the IT department or somewhere else. So I commend him for taking the responsibility to putting it in his personal office budget. It didn't have to come out of that. It could have come out of somewhere else. There's a lot of employees and a lot of departments here, multiple, between public facilities and health and human services and the Board of Elections and a lot of groups that need to get messages out that are important. And I covered barely anything by saying those 3 departments. They're the ones that I guess I think of first and foremost. So, thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Rankin.
And I want to support what Ms. Vanstrom has said. I think that given we've had really strong, effective staff within the county executive's office, but we have not been able to cover what we need with this position. So this position is covering a lack where we think we can focus and serve the public and serve the needs of the county and get the information out. I think this is an effective use of funds, and we would not have proposed it if we weren't feeling the lack or the need for it. I'm very much in favor of this, and I thank the county executive for putting this forward, and thank you, Ms. Vanstrom, for all your comments.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, discussion on the local law? Legislator Torres.
It is quite a considerable amount of money, $60,000 to $90,000, and I don't even know if we had discussion further about the county coroner's adjustments that they pleaded at the committee meeting. Don't know what came about that, but you know, I am against this because it's another new position and we haven't even taken care of other stuff. So I'm going to be voting no, unfortunately. Even though it may help, it is important, but I feel strongly we should address other stuff.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski is absent. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Gustafson? Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Heiser?
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
No.
Mr. Nebel?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
No.
Mr. Pavlock?
Yes.
Mr. Penhallow?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Ms. Rankin? Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres? Ms. Vanstrom?
Yes, please.
Mr. Wilfong?
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon?
Yes.
There are 13 yes votes, 3 no votes, and 3 absent. The local law is adopted.
Okay, now I would like to back up to the public hearing, and just to clarify, we are permitted to start a public hearing late, but we are not permitted to start a public hearing early. So that's why I skipped over the public hearing, because we were prior to 6:35. So now at this time, I will open the public hearing regarding Office 46 lease agreement at the Chautauqua County Jamestown Airport. So the public hearing is open. Is there anyone wishing to address the public hearing regarding Office 46 lease agreement at the Chautauqua County Jamestown Airport? Is there anyone wishing to address the public hearing? One more time, anyone wishing to address the public hearing? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Christie, back to you.
Okay, resolutions. Resolution 9-23, confirm reappointments, South and Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer District Board.
Legislator Harmon.
Yes, I want to make a motion to block resolutions 9 through 14.
Okay, we have a motion to block resolutions 923 through 1423 and a second by legislator Vanstrom. Is there any discussion on the motion to block the resolutions? Hearing none, all those in favor of blocking, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? They are blocked.
Resolution 10-23, confirm appointment, Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board. Resolution 11-23, confirm appointment, Chautauqua County Planning Board. Resolution 12-23, confirm reappointment, Chautauqua County Food Policy Council. Resolution 13-23, confirm appointment and reappointments, Chautauqua County Land Bank Board of Directors. 14-23, confirm appointment and reappointments, Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors.
Okay, are there any questions, comments on any of the resolutions 923 through 1423? Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of resolutions 923 through 1423, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? They are carried.
Resolution 15-23, authorize agreement with New York State DOT for performance of federal aid project PIN 5764.00.
Any questions, comments on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
16-23, authorize federal and state aid applications for Chautauqua County Jamestown Airport 5-year capital improvement plan ACIP for fiscal year 2023 through 2027.
Are there any comments, questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
17-23, authorize federal and state aid applications for the Chautauqua County Dunkirk Airport 5-year capital improvement plan ACIP for fiscal year 2023 through 2027.
Any discussion, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
18-23, amend 2022 capital project accounts, public facilities.
Are there any comments or questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
19-23, close office for aging services petty cash fund.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
20-23, amend 2023 budget to implement the SWAT Team Bearcat project within the Chautauqua County American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, spending plan.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
21-23, authorize execution of New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee grant for the Police Traffic Services Program fiscal year 23.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
22-23, fiscal year 2022 State Homeland Security Program, SHSP.
Are there any comments or any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
23-23, fiscal year 2020 Hazardous Materials Grant Program, fiscal year 20 HMGP.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
24-23, confirmation of county's independent external auditor.
Any questions, any comments on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
25-23, setting salary for Discovery Expediter.
Are there any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Vankowski is absent. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Gustafson? Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Heiser? Mr. Hemmer?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Nebel,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Pavlock,
Yes.
Mr. Penhallow,
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent, Ms. Rankin, Mr. Scudder is absent, Mr. Torres, Ms. Vanstrom,
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong,
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon.
Yes.
There are 16 yes votes, 3 absent. The resolution is adopted. Okay. Resolution 26-23. No, I just did that one.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, okay. Authorize public hearing on technical amendments to local law 10-22 regarding the reapportionment of county legislature districts.
Before we get to questions and comments on this, I'm going to ask the county attorney to provide some clarification.
Thank you. This is to authorize the public hearing next month for the adoption of a local law. You recall that recently you passed a local law making 19 legislative districts. Upon some further research into the issue, we found there's a couple technical issues with the legislative districts. What happened is that some of the census blocks that make up those legislative districts, when you looked at them at the map, everything looked as though they followed the boundary lines. Upon further inspection, a few of the boundary lines veered so that the census blocks were offset into a different district. Overall, we found 4 census blocks that were moved when they shouldn't have been moved. Only 2 residents were affected, but the intent, the descriptions of the different districts are accurate. And so what this is doing is just making the technical corrections so that it's stated clearly that the boundary lines, municipal boundary lines, will denote the different census blocks.
Thank you, Patrick. So then, on the resolution to authorize a public hearing, are there any questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now, we need a motion. Legislator Harmon?
Yes, I take a motion to bring this to the floor for further discussion.
Okay, and what you're proposing to bring to the floor is a proposed resolution to authorize settlement of opioid litigation with Teva Pharmaceutical Industries Limited.
Yes.
And do I have a second to the motion? Second by Legislator Parker. Thank you. Okay, so discussion on the motion to bring this emergency resolution to the floor for consideration. Any discussion on the motion to bring the resolution to the floor for discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of bringing the resolution to the floor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is on the floor now for discussion. So I'm going to turn it over to Patrick again to explain this emergency resolution.
Thank you. This is a resolution that we were aware of different settlements going on with the opioid litigations. There's a major settlement. It's about a $4 billion settlement. However, New York State and some counties were already in the process of suing TVA and actually received a verdict in that case. And so New York State felt that they should have something above and beyond what the settlement was already proposed to provide for. And so this is actually a carve out from that settlement where some more money will flow to New York State and those who join into the settlement. We found out Friday that we'd have to sign on to the settlement by February 1st, which is before the next meeting, so we wanted to get this in front of the legislator as soon as we could. And so I believe I sent an email to all the legislators. It's about $957,000 would come to Chautauqua County through the settlement over the course of 13 years, broken down about $50,000 per year. Some of that has to be used for abatements, such as the jail mat program, education, training, and there'll be some that are unrestricted funds that could be used for a variety of other purposes. I also found out actually just today that there's actually additional lawsuits and additional settlements that may be forthcoming in the next month or so. that we'd have to get authorization to enter into that settlement. So it's the opinion of the county law department that this is a wise settlement. By not joining the settlement, you'd be looking at, going into litigation, paying for experts' discovery, and you may not get anything at the end of the day. So it'd be the recommendation of the county law department that you'd authorize the county executive and the county attorney to enter into this agreement.
Okay, so I think we have the motion on the resolution on the floor for discussion. So are there any questions or comments on the resolution that it was presented and explained by the county attorney? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Motion A on the agenda has received the required number of votes to bring to the floor. Honoring Vietnam and Vietnam-era veterans on the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Paris Peace Accords ending the Vietnam War.
Is there any questions, any comments, any discussion on the motion? Legislator Nebel.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to read the motion. Suffice to say that it commemorates and honors Vietnam and Vietnam-era veterans. This motion puts the county legislature on record and kind of parallels what PJ and the executive branch has done this week and will be doing on Friday. On Friday, the county executive will read the names of the 51 county residents killed in the Vietnam War. On that list is Private First Class Perry Chris, the only son of Judge Rocco Chris and his wife Colleen. Perry was my wife Joanne's first cousin, so the reading of the names on Friday will actually hold special meaning for us. This motion offers a thank you and, quite frankly, a belated welcome home to Vietnam and Vietnam-era veterans. And finally, I would just like to acknowledge the legislature's two veterans, Bob Bankowski and Dave Wilfong, and thank them for their service to their country on behalf of Chautauqua County. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And even though you didn't read the motion, thank you for a very well-crafted motion. It was very well done.
Okay. It was kind of lengthy in the interest of time, so.
Legislator Rankin.
I think it's fitting and our honor at any point that we can honor and acknowledge our veterans, especially right now for the Vietnam veterans, considering the anniversary of the signing of the Peace Accord. So I'm very happy to support this and thank them for their service and their sacrifice.
Hearing none. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski is absent. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Gustafson?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Heiser?
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Nebel?
Yes.
Ms. Parker? Mr. Pavlock? Mr. Penhallow?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin? Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres?
Yes.
Ms. Vanstrom? Mr. Wilfong?
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon?
Yes.
There were 16 yes votes and 3 absent.
Okay. And at this point, I believe Legislator Parker would like to introduce a motion as well.
Yes, I would like to make an emergency motion to bring the motion declaring February as Black History Month. Because the reason for the emergency aspect of it is that in February begins Black History Month, and the next legislative meeting is not until the end of this very important month. I wanted to bring it to the attention and appreciation of our community and our legislature. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to bring an emergency motion to the floor. Is there a second to the motion to bring it to the floor? Legislator Harmon. Okay, so we have a motion to bring this emergency motion to the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion to bring it to the floor for consideration? On the motion to bring it to the floor for consideration. Yes, Legislator Rankin.
Thank you, Legislator Parker, for bringing this forward for us. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion to bring this motion to the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is on the floor for discussion. So, Legislator Parker, I assume you have shared your proposed motion with all legislators?
Yes, Christy and Olivia have very kindly put a copy of the motion on everyone's desk, and I believe they've had time to look it over. But if there's any questions, I would take them.
Thank you. Then are there any questions or comments on the motion as proposed? Hearing none, you must have done a fine job, Legislator Parker. So would the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
Mr. Bankowski is absent. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Gustafson? Mr. Harmon? Mr. Heiser? Mr. Hemmer?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Nebel?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Pavlik? Mr. Penhella?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin? Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres? Ms. Vanstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong?
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon?
Yes.
There's 16 yes votes and 3 absent.
Okay, and now at this time, I believe Legislator Nebel would like to consider another emergency motion.
Mr. Chairman, this motion is really a continuation of the county's policy whereby we established a county ambulance service via Resolution 210-18. The Emergency Services Office feels that a motion in support of a permanent ambulance certificate of need, or CON, in a letter of support from the Chairman of Public Safety, which I have already written, would help the department. Therefore, that is the reason for this motion.
Okay, and the emergency nature of bringing it as an emergency,
We won't have another legislative meeting before the next state agency meets. In emergency services needs the support, would like the support of the legislature via this motion when they appear before the state regulatory agency.
okay, thank you. So I believe Legislator Nebel has made a motion to bring this emergency motion to the floor. Is there a second to that motion to bring it to the floor? Legislator Rankin. Then discussion on the motion to bring this emergency motion to the floor. Are there any questions or comments on bringing it to the floor? Legislator Vanstrom.
I support this emergency motion. I think it's important that we continue to support emergency services. Terry's chaired that committee for a long time, and he's been right on top of it and stayed steady with the needs and the changing needs in our county and all of our individual communities. So thank you, Terry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Case will do.
Any other comments, discussion on the motion to bring this to the floor for discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? It is on the floor for discussion. Now, any comments, questions, discussion on the motion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski is absent. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Gustafson?
Yes.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Heiser?
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Nebel?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Pavlik?
Yes.
Mr. Penhallow?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres?
Yes.
Ms. Vanstrom?
Yes, please.
Mr. Wilfong?
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon?
Yes.
There are 16 yes votes and 3 absent.
Okay, next on our agenda is memorials. This is our opportunity to remember past legislators, past county legislators, who passed away during 2022. So we have 4 of those instances, and I will present the first memorial for my good friend Arden Johnson, who passed away on July 30th of 2022. In 1985, Arden became a deputy Chautauqua County clerk for the Chautauqua County Motor Vehicles Department and served for 4 years. In 1989, he became office manager for Chautauqua Patrons Insurance and happily remained until his retirement in 2001. In addition to his employment, Arden was elected town supervisor of the town of Ellery in 1972, where he first served until 1980, when he became a Chautauqua County legislator, serving until 1983. After his county tenure, he again was reelected town supervisor and had served graciously in that position continually until his retirement in March of 2022, a total of 50 years. In 2012, Arden was recognized with the New York State Senate Liberty Award as the longest-serving supervisor in New York State by then State Senator Kathy Young, an honor he truly cherished. Thank you. Next, Legislator Harmon.
Yes, I'd like to memorialize Jack Glenser. Jack Glenser passed away on April 20th, 2022. Jack will be remembered for his quick wit and his great sense of humor, and of course, his detailed storytelling. After high school, Jack joined the Army in 1948 and served until 1951. Jack attended SUNY Fredonia in 1952, where he earned a bachelor's in education and then earned a master's in science. He went on to teach at local high school and at the college level locally. Jack also owned Jack Glenser Sales and Service Ford dealership in Fredonia. And during that time is where he met Joan Lupine, and they married in 1958. Jack served on numerous boards and went on to serve as a county legislator for 4 terms before he was elected as county executive in 1983. After his retirement in 1989, he served as county Republican chair for many years. Jack was a member of many local organizations, American Legion, the Masonic Lodge, NRA, and the list just goes on. Jack was an avid fisherman and made many trips to Alaska to enjoy his passion. Jack is survived by 2 children, Yana Goodrich of Erie, PA, and Jeff Glenser, who resides in Maryland. Jack was an amazing man and will never be forgotten.
Thank you.
Amen.
And next, Legislator Muldowney.
Yes, I'd like to talk about my friend Robert Penharlow. Bob passed away on May 19th, 2022. In his obituary, it starts out as, Bob was respected and known as a thoughtful, kind, and gentle soul. He touched the lives of many throughout his well-lived life. Bob was born in Fredonia, and he joined the family business at age 13, Penn's Parts. By 16, while still at Fredonia High School, he was named a partner in the family business along with his brother. Bob would finish the school day and then go to work at the parts store doing his homework in the back room while he was the bookkeeper for the business. He graduated from Fredonia High School in 1950, joined the Army, and served in the Korean War after that. Bob grew the business. Again, it was named Penn's Parts. Started out in Fredonia, expanded into Dunkirk, Silver Creek, Westfield. He worked the business for over 50 years before he sold it. Very, very involved in the community. Bob, his brother, served in the Fenner Hose Company in Fredonia for over 50 years. He was a very talented and energetic man that wanted to make his local community better, which Bob did. He served on the Village of Fredonia Board of Trustees from 1968 to 1974. And then in 1978, he filled a term left vacant by a previous member of the Chautauqua County Legislature, and then was re-elected for a second term. He was a past president of the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce and a former member of the Fredonia Rotary Club, and on and on. Bob really became a licensed real estate agent in '97. That's where I grew to know Bob. He sold me my first building, and I always knew when I was dealing with him that he was honest, caring, and very respectful of the dealings. He leaves behind 2 children, a son, David, and a daughter, Deborah. He was married for over 33 years, and job well done, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Legislator Vanstrom.
Thank you, Chairman. It's an honor and a privilege to speak of John Y. Carlson. I grew up in Dunkirk as a Carlson. That was my maiden name. There were no Carlsons in Dunkirk. I moved to Jamestown. There were thousands of them. So I want to distinguish John Y. Carlson and his tremendous achievements, his tremendous dedication and commitment to this community. It started off with his parents, and he started out serving in the U.S. Army. That was the beginning of his humble start. What he achieved is remarkable. He was dedicated, committed, thrown into the forces of our community. Honestly, he became a teacher, an educator, sacrificing so much to do that. Then he became a principal in administration. Again, another rung up. And all through this, he was involved in multiple community endeavors. The list goes so far and far and far, from his church to the Babe Ruth Baseball League and on, and he served in this great institution, our county legislature, from 1980 to 93. He was ending his career here when I was finishing my career in college. So I did not have the opportunity to meet this man, and that pains me. I wish I had. I have met Arden Johnson. I have met Jack Lenzer. I know Bob Penhollow. I knew all of them very well. And John Y. Carlson is such a tremendous attribute to our community. It's unbelievable. If anybody saw his resume and the time he put into serving the community, it's humbling beyond. And he was also doing what everyone in this room, in this...
And that brings us on our agenda to announcements. First announcement, Legislator Vanstrom.
Well, hello, everyone. I just wanted in Celeron and his vision, and he's a kind person, even though he does get upset about the weeds, we all do. So let's just move past that because it's January. We don't have to deal with that for a few more months. But if you go to brownpapertickets.com, you can buy fundraising tickets for the Fire and Ice at the Chautauqua Harbor Hotel. It's Thursday, February 9th through Saturday, February 11th, and it supports the Chautauqua County Child Advocacy Program. So the funds from this go to a very good organization right here in Chautauqua County, and the party is beautiful. They do ice sculptures and vendors and some snacks and music. Beautiful event, and also understand that it's supporting child advocacy programs in Chautauqua County. It's serving the youth right here that need it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. An announcement by the county executive.
Thank you. As was mentioned today in the motion, I will be hosting a welcome home ceremony on Friday, January 27th, 50 years after the signing of the Paris Peace Accords. The event will take place right outside on the steps of the courthouse. We're asking all Chautauqua County residents who are Vietnam-era veterans or Vietnam veterans themselves to please attend. We do have a couple of dignitaries that are coming in from state representatives of the VFW, also our state and congressional representatives as well. You know, you really think about it, 50 years ago, these men and women, and believe it or not, there were actually 12 women who were killed, many times came home to protest and disgust from people. So I find it only fitting that we welcome them home this 50 years later. So I encourage not only county residents, I've asked our county employees, anybody who is available on Friday to please come out and join us. But it'll be a very remarkable event. I'd like to thank Legislator Nebo for bringing this to my attention. He was a huge partner in this, so I thank him as well. But I ask everybody to please come out and support our Vietnam era and Vietnam veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. Other announcements from the legislators. Legislator Torres.
I just wanted to add that the Child Advocacy Program is also known as CAP, so there's no confusion there.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Seeing none, that brings us to our second privilege of the floor. Members of the public may comment on any subject. A member of the legislature may speak on any subject. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes, and comments representing a group shall be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to address the second privilege of the floor? Anyone for the second privilege of the floor? Seeing no one. At this point, I don't know who to look for because Legislator Gould is not with us. So Legislator Pavlak. We have a motion to adjourn and a second by Legislator Gustafson. All those in favor, please say aye.